Okay, to my good friends on YouTube, I've got a lot of questions that have come up. We're looking at two different guns today. The COLT Gold Cup on your left-hand side. They're laying out all the parts on the pink sheet. Pink representing kind of red. Didn't have a red sheet, but red is danger, problem, don't use these parts. And the TSOS Raider on the right-hand side. Notice its parts are laying in the green. Green, good to go. Very good quality parts, no problem. So we're going to talk about the difference in these two. Thank you so much to all my customers and friends, shooter friends, Marine Corps friends, Navy guys, military people, civilians alike. Thank you so much for your comments and watching the channel. These guns bring me a lot of joy. I'm retired now for many different fields, military, from oil field, submarine duty. I was in Cold War. I was electronics technician on a fast attack nuclear powered submarine back in the day when we were operating under something called MAD, Mutual Assured Destruction. What does that mean? Well, the Russians launch all their weapons towards us and we launch all ours towards them, and back and forth you go with the long range ballistic missiles, ICBM, intercontinental ballistic missiles. And they both launch back and forth until there's nothing left. So that was back from 1979 to 1987. And that's how we operated. Thank God we don't think like that anymore. But I've been around the block a few times. I've operated and worked with many kinds of equipment, electronic, high-powered electrical, mechanical, engineering type. And I'm not a gunsmith, but these are very small, easy to work on machines. They're just nothing to them, man. I mean, it's a 100-year-old design, the 1911, but I had a lot of questions. A lot of people asking me questions, so I thought this would be a good time to answer those questions today. So, the first thing I want to talk about, I had a customer ask me, said, I've got a Colt 1911 pistol, and he told me the model number, and he said it was before CZ had bought them out. He said, do you think mine has M.I.M parts in it? I said, probably so, but it's just not something where you have to sit around and guess. I'm going to show you how you can tell. Now, the M.I.M parts, the ones on the pink sheet, this is for the Colt. If you look closely, and I will give you an exploded view of these. I've taken a picture with my camera where I was able to get in really close, and I'll pop that up on the screen in a minute. But if you look on the sides of your parts, if it has a small circle, looks like it's kind of was branded like a cow brand, like pushed in there while it was still hot and soft. If you see a small circle, or if you see a letter or a number of any sort in there, then you have an M.I.M part. Another way to tell is if you turn the part on its side and you look at it lengthways and you find any kind of a parting line, that means it's a cast part. M.I.M parts are metal injection molded. It means they've mixed plastic powder and metal powder together, made a slurry like a dough. They put it into a high pressure injection machine. They inject it into a mold, just like when you were little kid, you were building those little plastic models, the tanks and the airplanes and maybe dragsters, and you notice they had a frame in them. The frame made out of little round bars. You had to break your parts out and all that. That's where the injector was injecting that slurry of plastic in the case of a model. In M.I.M parts, they mix the metal and the plastic together, and eventually they get it hot enough they burn the plastic out and leave some metal behind. Now, if it's done properly, they can make some decent quality gun parts for what I'm going to say a target shooter that just wants to target shoot. If you're going to use your gun for something more serious in a tactical situation, in a self-defense, for an everyday carry, I will not use M.I.M parts. I don't trust them, and I've already heard the argument. Some guys will say, well, a tool steel part can break too. Yes, anything can break. You can break a bowling ball. You can break a solid steel bar. You can break a truck in half. You can break anything. Give it enough pressure, enough time, enough heat, enough impact, enough G-force, you can break pretty much anything. But a piece that's made out of tool steel that has machined out of a piece of bar stock and properly heat treated is going to be more durable than a shrinky-dink piece that was made out of plastic powder mixed with metal powder, heated up till it was a liquid, injected into a two-piece mold that has an upper and lower half. Then you pull that out, and what you'll have is a part that is dimensionally correct, should be close, but a lot of times you will have a hot, hardened surface, just like if you surface harden a crankshaft. You can do that on a crankshaft. Back in the day when I was a dragster kid, racing kid, we would try to buy crankshafts that had been nitro hardened on the surface, and that was fine until you spun a bearing and you wore that surface off. Now you're down to the soft part of the crankshaft. Same thing happens with the M.I.M part. In my case, in this case, this COLT Gold Cup right here failed me. And the way that it failed was, first off, they cut the notches in the hammer very shallow, and especially the half cock. It was a terrible setup. You'll see that in the picture when I showed you the blowed up picture. And then the SEAR itself, another thing that they did was they decided it would be a cool thing to cut a notch right in the middle of that SEAR. Their thinking was that if it drops to half cock, this has a corresponding notch in the hammer that is designed for it to drop on and supposedly would save the surfaces of your SEAR. All it did in my case was you whittle away a portion of that SEAR that you needed to hold the load. Now basically you've got 1/3, 2/3, 3/3. The center third is ground out, leaving a notch. That leaves you a 33% reduction in your overall surface material. If you look at this one on the other side, this is an actual real steel part made in Turkey by T-Sauce, and it has no notch. That means 100% of that surface is going to be able to carry the load against the hammer, and you'll see that really well when I do the close-up picture. And like I say, I'll pop that up on the screen several times so you can see the difference in the two. So I do not use shrinky-dink parts. I learned this from Mr. Hilton M.I.M. He has his own performance parts that he builds, and he did some gunsmithing work for, I believe it was LAPD, for a SWAT team, for some heavy hitters out there, and I believe he did that for about 20 years, Mr. Hilton M.I.M. And he will tell you clearly that M.I.M parts can be good, they can be used, but if you're using it in a gun where you're going to protect yourself, your loved ones, you're going into harm's way with it, especially an EDC carry or law enforcement gun, he would not use these parts that this COLT Gold Cup's got. That's an M.I.M part, that's an M.I.M part. I believe this is a tool steel part, the hammer, but they cut the notches too shallow. This is regular spring steel. These two pieces, especially that piece right there, that SEAR, there is no excuse, no reason to make that out of shrinky-dink M.I.M material. You just no reason to do that. Now, on the table, I've got all the other parts of the gun. We're not going to get into that right now because these parts, I'm going to zoom in a little bit, are the ones in question, okay? These are the ones that caused me the problem. Now, one man said, well, I thought you had that gun at one time when you first got it, and you said it was a good gun, it was working good and all that, and that was a true statement. And he said, well, you modified it, you did this, you did that, you changed some parts. I did. I changed this right here. This is what I changed on this gun. I got rid of the COLT double recoil spring. I got rid of their small diameter guide rod and put in a Wilson Combat bulletproof guide rod and a nice Wolf spring, which was an 18.5 pound spring, and it's a variable rate. So that's what I wanted in my gun. So what else did you change on the gun? I took out the plastic mainspring housing. It was nylon, and I bought this from Evolution Gunwork, and I put in a solid stainless steel mainspring housing. And neither one of those parts that I changed had anything to do with the problem. The problem with the gun was I had this gun, I chambered, put a full mag with the slide lock to the rear. I pointed at a metal cabinet. Most of you have seen this. If you haven't, go in my channel and just type in the word COLT and Catastrophic. Type in those two words and search for it. And you will see what I did. I held the gun out, had all 5 fingers like this. And I told everybody, now watch closely, watch my hand closely. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And one guy wrote to me, he said, well, it was your booger picking finger got up there on that trigger. And I said, you didn't watch the video closely. 5 fingers, just like that. I reached up, I hit the slide release. The slide slammed forward, it picked up a round, and it fired the round without me touching the trigger. Why did that happen? It happened because of this soft M.I.M. SEAR right there. Now, I want to say this too. My preference, if I'm going to plunk down money nowadays, and I don't need to get a Colt in my collection, is going to be to go with this gun right here. This is a TSOS Raider. It is a copy of the Colt M45A1 that they built for the Marine Corps, except that this company got it right. And I mean, this gun is top-notch quality. All the parts inside it are tool steel machined parts out of bar stock. They're all heat treated properly. I cannot tell you how much wear that they will endure, because I've only got about 300 rounds through this gun, about the same on this one. I can tell you that the people that work there at SDS in Knoxville, Tennessee, love this gun. I'm talking about the employees that work there, not people from Turkey. I'm talking about good old boys, Marine, Army guys, Navy guys that are veterans that work. Some of them that do machine work for them. They run the programs for the CNC. They love this gun. Why? Because the fit and finish is excellent. The parts inside throughout the gun are all solid steel parts. That means this right here too. That's a very important part if you want that gun to be strong, is your slide stop. It's also the locking pin that holds the barrel in the gun. So, and they use, look at this barrel now, it's not cleaned up right now, but they polished the feed ramp on that barrel, and that barrel is chromed inside and out, and it's cold hammer forged barrel. I mean, everything about this gun is just solid, solid, solid. And I like them. And I got this gun, I believe it was $6.95 at the time. This one has extra features on it. It has the threaded barrel. Right there costs you a little extra. It has the equipment rail on it there. And a couple other things on it that just make it a little bit more special. Has the ambidextrous thumb safeties. And it also is cut on the top for optics. So between all those special features above and beyond a GI style gun, that puts it in a little higher category, puts you close to $700. But I really like this Raider. Now, of the two, as far as beauty goes, you can take some 2000 grit sandpaper and take this Colt right here and polish that thing out. And when you draw it out to show your friends at the range, it will blow their eyes out if the sunshine hits the side of that slide, because it won't have any finish marks at all, won't have any scratches. That 2000 grit sandpaper will make that have a mirror finish. And if you get some scratches on it, you can hit it with that 2000 grit and put it back in good shape. And I don't care what kind of holster you got, whether it's Cadex or leather, you're eventually going to get a little bit of sand, a little bit of dirt, a little bit of grit in there, and as you run that gun in and out, it's going to put some scratches on it. So my fix for that every time is the same exact thing. I go to Harbor Freight, I get me some of that 2000 grit sandpaper right there, and you can dress that thing up. Just hit it just a few times. You won't wear the emblem off there. If it's an old Colt like this is a roll mark and it's heavy roll, you can feel that with your fingernails. If I get to where I can't feel my fingernail, I know I've sanded too much. But with 2000 grit, man, you're not taking off a bunch of material, you're just taking off scratches. So beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and some people like this shiny stainless steel Colt better. Some people tactically think that you should never have a shiny gun. I keep my gun in a holster, and I use a long tail coat or long tail vest and let it lay over it now. I used to open carry all the time, but I've got to where too many people making too many rude comments or asking dumb questions, especially why is your hammer to the rear? And not everybody has time to go through a 100-year course on why John Moses Browning built that gun to be cocked and locked. I have to told an old lady one day, I said, would you prefer that I have the safety on my gun turned on or turned off? She said, she was a nice older lady, elderly, and she said, oh my goodness, young man, you need to always have your safety on. And I said, well, you're right. And the only way to turn the safety on a 1911 is pull that hammer to the back. That's the only way you're going to do it. So most people don't know that, and Walmart is not the place to draw your gun out and begin giving lessons on the gun, because security will come and haul you off for having your gun drawn. When that gun gets drawn out of the holster, it should be coming out for one reason only, and that's to blow some fire and some smoke and take care of business. So don't draw your gun out. Don't do that out in public to talk to anybody about it. That's just silly. So now let's get back to the M.I.M parts versus tool steel parts. What I call tool steel means that they have taken a block of steel and they cut it down to a little rectangle. Then they load that rectangle into a jig or a fixture, and then they run the proper tooling, some type of vertical end mill, or could have 4-axis or 6-axis or whatever, with cutters, and they drill some holes. They run some special bits over it, and they cut the shape out that you need, and then they heat treat it usually. This particular gun, the frame of the gun and the slide of the gun, the main parts of the gun, were heat treated first and hardened first and then cut and machined out. And the reason they do that is it gives you more reliable specifications. If you take a gun, you cut it soft and then you heat treat it, it can warp and it can change the dimensions slightly here and there. And they realized that, so they said, well, we'll get ours all heat treated first, get it good and hot, get it like we want it, cut it with it hardened, which is harder on your tool, see? And I've done that, man. I built a knife one time, and I heat treated it and got it up to a Rockwell about a 69, which is very hard. And then I realized there was a few more notches I wanted to cut in the back of the blade, up where my thumb went. I wanted to make some of those tactical looking hole marks. And I took out a brand new rat tail file like you use to sharpen a chainsaw with, a small one, and went to cut 4 more notches in that hardened blade, and I wore my file out. So I understand why most companies today want to cut soft metal real fast with cheap cutters and then heat treat and hope for the best. And that's not a good way to do that. So my hat goes off to people from Turkey, from this company right here, TISAS, T-I-S-A-S. I pronounce it TISAS, and when I say that to Google and have it look it up, it puts T, like tea that you drink, like Earl Grey or something like that. That it spells it T-E-A, and then the word sauce, like barbecue sauce. So probably because I'm from the South and have a little accent, Google hadn't figured me out yet. Anyway, so these two guns that you see on the table, there's a big difference in the price of these. This guy right here on your left, the COLT Gold Cup Trophy, is 14 hondos, $1,400, $1,400. And it has to have a lot of work done on it. You need to replace these major parts and any other parts in the gun that you feel are M.I.M that don't meet your standards. I definitely did not want a nylon little plastic shrinky-dink mainspring housing, because who knows what it's going to do under stress. So I put in a solid stainless steel EGW, and it's just, you know, it's what you think is best for your application. If you're only target shooting with it, or it's only going to be a safe queen, you're going to buy it, you're not ever going to scratch it or touch it or do anything, and you just want to marvel that you've got a COLT Gold Cup, and you put it over a little, maybe a pillow that's made out of velvet, and you stick it in your safe and pull it out maybe once a year to show a friend, you can leave it just like it is. It won't make any difference. But if you're going to be taking a whole bunch of these and hand loading and running some ball ammo through it, going out in the yard or out at shooting range and shooting hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of rounds, or if you're going to use it and try to protect yourself with it, go ahead and get you some real parts. Get you some real steel parts. A good source for those is Wilson Combat, Cylinder and Slide, Nighthawk Custom, which those are the same boys. They came from Wilson Combat. Ed Brown. There are several companies that make custom 1911 guns, and as a sidekick for them, They make the same high quality parts they build for their $4,000 and $5,000 guns, and will sell you those parts. So you can get with Mr. Bill at Cylinder and Slide, or Mr. Bill out Wilson Combat, and Bill Wilson, and you can buy yourself a hammer and a SEAR and a disconnector. He even has these springs too. You can buy a whole fire control package, and their high-end stuff is called the bulletproof type. That's a cool name for a part. And I think it's going to run you about $150 for the whole kit. And it's a matter of 2 pins you drive out of the side of the gun. The pins are located, I'll show you on this, it might be a little easier to see. The pins are located right there and right there. 2 little pins. Say, man, those things are complicated to work on. No, they're not complex machines to work on. What you have to do is get you a quiet place like this. This is an old military target here. Lay the gun out, get a little punch. I use a roll of electrical tape as my backer so that I don't hurt the gun. And you lay that roll of electrical tape. I mean, I'm telling you, this is so easy. You lay that right there, and you can drive that pin out that holds the mainspring housing in. And then on these 2 pins here have got flats on them, so you don't even have to do any big hammer work on those. All you do is just turn them over and just push right there lightly. Push that one lightly, and they'll come out. And when they come out, you rattle and the pieces fall out. It's not a big deal. And then if you don't know how to put them back in, there is no excuse. In 2025, there's no excuse to be able to say, I don't know how to do something. You don't have an excuse for that anymore. Those days are long gone. You can sit down with your phone or your laptop or your big old, maybe you got a big old thick computer and still running Windows 98, it doesn't matter. Get on Google or YouTube and look, and you will see an expert take that gun completely apart and put it back together piece by piece with a close-up video. So I'm not doing that today. I'm just showing you the difference in the parts and telling you, I love my customers, my friends on YouTube, because I get the best comments. I mean, one guy said, boy, you must be a good old boy. You sound like you're from down south, and I'm about ready to move out of Northland anyway, get away from these Yankees, and I thought that was funny. I said, well, you're welcome down here. Thank you for the nice, kind words. I have a lot of people that write to me and write kind words. I have a lot of people that write questions. And of course, on the internet, you've got some people that just feel the need, man. I mean, they don't feel the need for speed. They feel the need for an argument. And they get on there and they say, well, you don't even know. They don't know me from Adam. I've been doing this for 40 years. I've shot more bullets and taken apart more machines and guns than most dozen men have put together. And but I don't brag about that. I mean, but it's just a fact. I have spent a lot of time working on guns, 1911s specifically. They are an easy gun to learn how to take apart, easy gun to learn how to make minor adjustments, clean up work, repair jobs. You can do it all, man. I mean, it's just a matter of time. It's what are your priorities in life? Do you want to learn how to do some new things? Are you scared to death? Now, if you're a nervous Nelly and or a safety Susan and you think anything you touch is going to get you killed, this is not for you. You take up some, do some painting, or weave some baskets, underwater basket weaving or something like that. But yes, you have the ability. You have a round there that's got a primer in it made out of nitrocellulose. That's nitroglycerin mixed with cardboard powder. You've got a charge of bullseye powder inside there in a confined space. You're going to throw it into a tube, a barrel. I call them tubes. That's what they are. You throw it inside there. Now it's all sealed up, and then you close it up in the gun, and it's all sealed up in a tight space. That pressure's got to go somewhere. When you hit it with a primer, hit that primer with the firing pin rather, and if firing pin strikes it, something's going to happen. And that bullet's going to come flying out that tube, out of that barrel. Is it dangerous? Yes, it is dangerous. But getting in your car and driving to town, you driving down the road at, let's just say 55 on a back road, and you're driving along, and somebody's driving a big F-250 truck headed towards you, and they drop their very last French fry on the floorboard, and they reach over to the passenger side trying to get that last French fry. And how dangerous is that? You got about 7,500, maybe 8,500 pounds, depending on how many hogs they're hauling in the back. And if they hit you head on, that's pretty dangerous too. Life and death, man. It's just a split second away. So there are many safety rules that you have to follow. I had an accidental discharge with this because of that failed part right here. And I was up in the man cave. I shot my mattress. It went into the middle of the mattress, went through a whole bunch of stuffing, hit a big steel wire, went out the side of the mattress, skidded off the floor, made a nice little track, looked just like a 45 caliber bullet would make, and it skids across oak, and then hit a pile of boards, and that was the end of that story. Say, how did that end up so good for you? Because I was following the rules. I made sure that the gun was pointed in a safe direction when I loaded it. I learned this from many years ago, shooting an SKS. They have a floating firing pin. If you let that thing get gummed up or it gets a little bit of rust on it, it can get stuck out when it's in the bolt. And when you let that bolt fly and it chambers that first round, pulls it out of the mag and goes into the chamber, it's going to fire that round. And so this was a different situation, but the handling of the gun is the same. Always point the gun in a safe direction when you're loading it. And then from there on out, don't point the muzzle at anything that you're not willing to destroy. Now, the hole in my mattress, that's just something to laugh about. Nobody died. It didn't even kill my mattress. It was a mattress given to me anyway, so no big deal there. So back into the gun. Get away from mattresses for a while. We're not going to shoot any more mattresses. But I'm telling you something that happened to me so that you can avoid it in your home, okay? The way that you avoid it is buy yourself some good solid steel parts. Don't trust your life, your family's life, your hands, your toes, your eyes, your brain. Don't trust the little soft M.I.M. metal injection molded parts. Say, can they work? Yeah, they can work. Can they be built high quality? They can. Are they as good as tool steel? No, they are not. No, they're not. If you buy a Wilson Combat, a real combat pistol, and it costs you $4,500, you open that thing up, lay it out on a table like I've got here, you're not going to find any shrinky-dink M.I.M. parts in that gun. You buy yourself a Point Man 7 from Dan Wesson, and you open it up, and you're not going to find any shrinky-dink M.I.M. parts in it. You buy an Ed Brown Carry Cobra that's got the nice chopped-off tail on it, bobtail Cobra, and you open that thing up, you're not going to find any shrinky-dink M.I.M. parts in it. You're just not. Now, there's exceptions to that rule with some companies. You buy a Springfield TRP, you're going to find some M.I.M. parts in that thing. I don't like that. And the people that are going to use that, carry it in harm's way, like Mr. Hilton Yam, first thing he'll do is lay that gun out. He'll open it up. He'll find anything that's got little circles, little dents, little letters or numbers printed into it. He knows it came out of a mold. He knows it's shrinky-dink. It's metal injection molded. He's going to throw it in the round file, file 13. He's going to put in one of his real parts, a steel, bar stock steel, machined tool steel part. That's what you want. If you want to be serious about your guns and you want something that's going to go bang every time and it's not going to let you down, you want steel parts. And in the case of TSOS, this is my 8th TSOS gun. I have not opened one TSOS gun up yet and found those little circles that I'm going to show you. I'm going to pull them up. I'll lay them out side by side and you'll get to see. In fact, I take the picture real close. If it's on the pink side, it means it's a reject part. It's a COLT Gold Cup part. It means it is a M.I.M. part. If it's on the green side with TSOS, that means it's a tool steel actual real part made from bar stock. Why do they call it bar stock? Well, it can be round or it can be square, but it usually comes in the format of a bar and a piece of stock on a shelf, and it can be any kind of different material. In this case, they use good steel that's made for, got good friction quality to it. Can take the pressure of a firearm and all that. So they pick the right steel and they cut it to size. They usually heat treat it. In the case of T-sauce, they heat everything first and then cut it. That way, when they get through cutting, it's done. They don't have to heat it and cool it and put it in the ice bucket or worry if any dimensions are going to warp or change. They heat it properly first. They cut all the pieces, and then they probably do a little bit of polishing here and there. Maybe they tumble it in something, and they Cerakote these parts. And they slap them together. They do some test firing, and away they go. And I'm just telling you, I really like the T-sauce product. I have one of these in a GI. It is a copy of the 1943 to 1948 Remington Rand that the typewriter company built back in the war days. And it's not a clone. I don't use the term clone. That's for things that are having living tissue. It is a copy. It's a reproduction of the GI gun. And man, I'm telling you, for $400, you're not going to beat it. It's a solid. The lower on it, like this, is forged. The upper is forged. The barrel is forged. Everything on it's forged. And it's got all these good tool steel parts on it. Get you one, man. Go to Pimento Cheese Sandwich. That's what I call it. Palmetto State Armory or Bud's Gun Shop. And they've got those things. And about the time you want one, it'll be out of stock. But and the price keeps going up. They started at $350. I think they're up to about $450 now. And about the time you finally decide to get off your wallet and say, well, I'm going to go do what that guy on YouTube said, you're going to go and they'll be $650 or $750. So don't wait. I did that on my Point Man 7, built by, who built the Point Man 7? Dan Wesson. Back in the day when they first came out, they were tool steel guns, man, from one end to the other, all forged parts, everything solid, stainless steel. They were $650. Go price a Point Man 7 from Dan Wesson. CZ bought them out too, by the way. And price you one. I bet you it is $1,200 to $1,400, maybe even more, maybe $1,500. It's in the same price as this, but it's a lot higher quality than that Colt. Now, I'm not telling you to go buy a bunch of Colts. I bought one Colt. You see it right there? That's it. I've got 8 T-sauces, and I have one Colt, and I have one Springfield Armory. It is the Range Officer Target. And I got that thing at a discount, man. $800 used at a gun store. Hadn't even been shot hardly. And it was a $1,000 gun in the day. And they don't build them anymore. It was a guaranteed 1-inch at 25-yard competition, entry-level competition for target shooting, competition use. And I got the thing, like I say, $800. It's solid stainless steel. It's my everyday carry. Let me drag that thing out. This is my other stainless steel gun. All right, see that? That thing is hot and ready too. It's loaded, hot. Some people say, oh yeah, you can't have a loaded gun. Well, I have not found in a home or in a carry situation where a gun did very much good unless it had some bullets in it. And this is the Range Officer. It's a beautiful stainless steel heavy-duty gun, and it had a few M.I.M parts in it, and they're now gone. So forged upper, forged lower, all solid steel parts. The safety was solid steel, left it alone. The hammer was solid, but all the SEAR and all the guts in it have been changed out and been made solid, like Mr. Ham said to do. I like Mr. Ham. He's Ham, I think is his name. He's a smart dude when it comes to 1911s. So put that aside, that dangerous loaded gun, safety on. Say, what kind of ammo do you shoot if you wanted to do some really serious target practice? Here's what I shoot right here. See that live round of ammo right there? All right, what that is a Berry's bullet. It is a round nose, hollow base. Say, why is it hollow base? Because I didn't want to shoot 230 grain. It's not a military exercise. I wanted a bullet that would give me about 30% less recoil. So it looks like a 230 grain ball, but it has a hollow base, so it comes in at 185 grains. That gives you automatically 30% less recoil because you're pushing a smaller bus down the road. Powder in here is bullseye. I've got 4 grains of bullseye. You load this out to a length of, with your calibers, 1.260. That's what you load it at. And then you crimp this with a Lee factory crimper, and it should come out here when you measure this with your caliper right on the edge of that rim. You need it to be 469. That's 469 thousandths, 0.469 inches. Say, I thought it was supposed to be 0.470. Yeah, I always go down 1/1000ths just in case. I like that to have a nice, smooth feel to it. It has a feel. You can feel the case mouth, but it doesn't have a sharp edge to it. That means when it hits that barrel, hits that feed ramp in that gun, here's a feed ramp right here, it's coming out of that mag and it hits that feed ramp, there's nothing to grab a hold of. That way it runs nice and reliable. So that's a very good round. So, well, I don't like it to be that low of power. That's really low. That's only down at 750 feet a second. It'll shoot through a paper plate. It'll shoot through a clay pigeon. It'll shoot through a soda can, even if it's full of water or full of soda. It'll shoot through steel filing cabinet, in one door and out the other, in the front of it and out the back. And if you want a little bit more, go ahead and bump it up to 4.5 or bump it up to 5 grains if you want to get a little bit more serious. But for target use, man, that's the way to go. 4 grains. I say, well, it doesn't make my gun operate good. Change this out right here. Take your recoil spring, take the 20-pound out, 22, 18.5, and put the old standard in the industry, the old Colt. That back in the day when they designed the Colt 45, use a 16. You can even go lower. My granddaughter's gun, I've got her down. She's got a 12-pound recoil spring in her gun. Why? Because when she grabs that slide to rack it to the rear, it's soft as butter. It's easy. And with the round nose, don't have anything special we're trying to load anyway. It chambers it right up every single time, goes bang every time she pulls the trigger. So that's just something to think about. Make your load match your recoil spring. If you're shooting a very heavy load, you need a heavier recoil spring. If you buy this gun on your right hand side here, do not be surprised when you go to cycle that slide if it is very hard to pull that slide to the rear, because the spring that they put in these, factory spring, is about a 22-pound. I did not know why TSOS was using such a heavy spring in their gun, and one day it dawned on me. This company is trying to set this up for the worst case scenario that could beat this gun up, and that's a guy that goes out and insists he needs to find some plus P plus 230 grain hottest ammo he can find. If you've got a 22-pound recoil spring in that, it'll protect that gun. The other thing is, he may put a weird profile bullet that when it hits the feed ramp, if it's only a 16-pound spring, it may pause. But with a 22-pound spring, it's like packing a pig in a poke, man. It's just gonna pack it in there, and it doesn't care. As long as no rough edges hit, it's gonna send it home and go into full battery. The other thing with a 22-pound recoil spring is if somebody locks this gun to the rear, leaves it open for about 3 years, and you lose 2 or 3 pounds off that spring, you're still good to go. So they built some longevity into it, and they built some extra reliability into it, loading harder, and they also set it up for you running the hottest load possible. Now, if I'm going to use this gun for target use on the farm, it takes me less than 3 minutes to take this spring out and put in whatever spring I want. And then to see if I've got enough or too much spring, all I do is I shoot the round and see how far the brass kicks out from the gun. If the brass dribbles out the side and barely makes it out of the gun, your spring is too strong. If you shoot the gun and the brass goes over to the neighbor's yard and you can't find it to reload it, your spring is too light. So if it kicks it out about the length of your arm, 1 cubit, 18 inches, it's just right. So that's how you know. So thank you all so much for watching, and I will be adding those other pictures that I told you about. You'll see them kind of blended in all through these, and you'll be able to see a close-up, and you can zoom in. If you got it on your phone, you can zoom in even closer on your cell phone. You know, use your fingers to do a pinch on it and really get down, and you'll see the weakness of these M.I.M parts. They're no good, especially that SEAR. And Colt, man, they went the wrong direction on that. And they did that. Remington had the same thing. They had some rifles that they built that had problems with negligent discharge, and they never did fix the problem. At the time, they kept saying there was nothing wrong with it, nothing wrong with it, kind of like the SIG does, nothing wrong with our gun, nothing wrong with our gun. And come to find out later, there is something wrong. They lost a lot of business over it. Colt right here, they are learning the hard way, man. We got a YouTube now. We got YouTube and Google, and real shooters that know what the heck they're talking about, what they're doing. They don't have to work for Colt. They can spend a few thousand hours working on these guns and shooting them, spending some time with them, and they'll flat know what they're talking about. And they get on there and say, do not buy this gun for $1,400 when you can spend $700 for this one, and all you need to do to make it accurate is go to EGW and buy a very high quality barrel bushing like that one right there and fit it in there good and tight, and then get the nice little stainless steel cap that goes over your recoil spring, and that even seals it in tighter. And then get a super fat O-ring like that to protect your threads right behind your thread protector, and that'll take some more slack out of it. And you can buy that thread protector right there off of another company on the internet, Hughes Precision, and that thing is threaded absolutely perfect for a TSOS Raider for that barrel. I mean, it's unbelievable what a good job they did. Now you put your O-ring on there first, of course. O-ring goes on there like that, goes in a little slot, and I go past that because I'm going to screw this on until it really looks pretty. And you can put this either way. I like to put the slick part in the back. And man, look at that. I mean, it threads on there. It is smooth as butter. And then you got that. I usually screw it on until that's kind of bound up on the front of the gun, and then quarter more turn, puts the little numbers here. That's your SKU number. That's your stock number to order the thing. And that's just a beautiful thing. So that's only 2 little mods that you do, and you can make the groups of these go down. I've already shot that with a laser on it, and it'll just shoot hole for hole for hole at 10 yards. You watch some other videos, you'll see it. So thank you all so much. Appreciate my good friends, Simplified, to my Marine Corps buddies, and everybody else, the Navy. Just I'll say to you guys, fair winds and following seas. And over and out for now.